Hi, thanks for watching today. We're going to go over Maryland tax lien investing in this video and how to find, research, and buy tax liens in Maryland. We're going to use a tool called Parcel Fair. This is what this channel is about. And using that tool, we're going to show you how to research, filter, and really just narrow down in onto the properties you would be interested in. And just so you know, if you've not used Parcel Fair before, we have a 7-day free trial. We'd love to have you try it out. And we have many other states, but Maryland is our newest one, and we kind of consider it sort of the preview mode, I guess you'd say, where we're just trying it out. We've been watching Maryland and studying it for about a year now, but we've been through an auction season and learned a lot, and we want to share that with you. And just a disclaimer here, it may not be as mature of an experience as other states in Parcel Fair, but we think there's a lot of value that's offered in what we have so far, so we're excited to share it with you today. So let's just jump right in. Let's talk about how Maryland tax lien auctions work. So Maryland counties hold annual tax lien auctions, and most of these auctions occur online. Looks like it's about March through August. And something we learned about Maryland counties is they have a lot of autonomy in picking their month, picking their dates, and several other things that we'll show you where the counties have the ability to make their own decisions for this system. They can choose to have a surplus sale. This would be like if some leftover properties that they wanted to auction and they want to recover some of that revenue. They typically have these in the fall. We saw one last year called a bulk sale. That was in Baltimore City, and it was using sealed bids. So the overbid auction method is interesting in Maryland because unlike other states, when you overbid funds on top of the base amount, you don't have to pay those funds on the day of the auction or up front even. You actually don't pay the overbid until foreclosure proceedings take place. So what that means is if you were to bid on a property for $8,000 and let's say you bid it up to $10,000, you wouldn't pay that difference at the auction. You would pay that extra $2,000 later when you get into the foreclosure proceedings. And so it's kind of an advantage there. Oh, and by the way, if the lien gets redeemed, the investor actually never pays the overbid because there's no reason to. So right into interest rates. These are another source of differences in counties. They can range from 6% to 24% depending on which county you're dealing with. Some of the counties even offer flat penalty rates to the investor, and that just means instead of having the interest rate accrue prorated over each month, there's at least a minimum penalty rate that you as an investor would get if there's an early redemption. So the liens that you are buying at auction, they are foreclosable after 6 months by state law. But let me be clear here. This is another case where the state law prescribes 6 months, but the counties may apply additional restrictions to the foreclosure process. So make sure you understand the local laws before buying inside of a county, and you'll be okay if you can understand what their additional rules are. But overall, investors are allowed to begin those foreclosure steps as early as 6 months after the sale. And another important note is that you must start foreclosure proceedings within 2 years of the sale, or the entire sale is void and you just lost your money. So what happens to tax liens that don't sell? So every year, thousands of tax liens don't sell at auction, and those are considered leftover. And so the county tax collector will hold these unsold liens until the next auction by default. But again, I mentioned earlier, some counties will have that surplus sale to recover some revenue and clear out a few of those unsold liens. And a handful of Maryland counties also sell tax liens over the counter, which is great because they're going to sell them directly to you as an investor straight from the county office. And there's also alternative over-the-counter type programs. We talk about these a lot. It's either a land bank or a city program that's going to help you purchase the property directly. You're not even buying a lien, you're actually buying the property. So the program we're going to talk about is called Buy Baltimore. It's at buybaltimore.org. And this program, it's Baltimore City, not Baltimore County. And we have to be really clear in this distinction because it can be confusing. There's a county that is named Baltimore City, And there's also a county named Baltimore County, and they're not the same thing at all. This Buy Baltimore program, it applies to Baltimore City, and it is very similar to a land bank, but it's technically not. We did some homework on this. We found like a kind of evidence and history of land banks that used to be available in the state, but they seem to have been disbanded for whatever reason. They're not really around anymore. Maybe they serve their purpose and they're not there, or for whatever reason. So now you have this Buy Baltimore program, which again, you do an open bid. It's similar to a land bank, and what they have in their inventory is like these leftover liens, and it's like, so years after this lien is left over from an auction, it qualifies for the Buy Baltimore program. And those liens are held, those properties are actually held by the Baltimore City Council and the mayor, and they will then approve sales of these properties to the public, and they're using open bids. There are actually a few other programs that they offer, but we're going to talk about open bids because, especially if you're a out-of-state investor or just someone who does not live in Baltimore City, the open bids are the most appealing to you to pick up property. There are other programs or things like side lot, adopt a lot type of programs that are very common, but they don't really help you if you don't live there. So we're going to jump into the demo now and start to show you how we look at these tax liens in Maryland. Okay, so this is Parcel Fair, and this is just the homepage. You'll notice that we have added Maryland to our list of states, but with the little designation that it is a preview, just like we mentioned before. And the page is kind of new and sparse. There's not a lot going on here yet, but I will point out that we have an auction calendar. Maryland's really good about putting out their dates for you in advance. So looking at 2023, there are, as we mentioned earlier, dates all the way out through the summer time that you can plan around. Then this auction calendar, it's a new feature in Parcel Fair. You can look at other states as well, download the list. But in particular, the St. Mary's auction is actually this week. So this one, very timely. We're going to take a peek at that. So that's a great view on Parcel Fair just to kind of get the auctions down. But now let's look at the state of Maryland in Parcel Fair. What I have on screen are basically a all properties search on Maryland for us to take a look at everything that we know about and how to buy it right now at this point in time. So we're going to come back to Baltimore in a minute. This is the Baltimore City, that small county with a ton of properties. But we'll do something in a moment on that. For now, let's take a look over here near Washington, D.C. You have St. George's County, I believe is the name. Yeah, Prince George's, I'm sorry. So Prince George, there's the property we're looking at right here is a over-the-counter tax lien. So you could take a look at this property and see the details, learn about this property, and then go to the purchase options, and we outline the steps that you would go through to purchase from Prince George's. So that's the steps to do this over-the-counter purchase for that property. Would be just follow those steps and work with the local county. So that's one example just to kick it off. But what I really want to do is move to the St. Mary's down here and take a look at these yellow outline properties, which are available right now at auction. So there's an example of some land, 33 acres inland there. There are some waterfront properties, just different things that are kind of nice. Things on this peninsula on point there. Let's take a look. Let's find something that looks interesting here. How about this? This is a waterfront property, actually. So you can see from this little preview some of the detail about this, and from the map, of course, that it's on the Potomac River. But let's take a look at the actual property now. So this is a Parcel Fair report page where you can see a Google Street View as up to date of a photo as we can get from Google, and then a satellite view right below it. And one of the things I like to do is take a look at the panorama view and see the area. It's a beautiful wooded area, and you can even take a look at the actual house here. So without even getting in the car, we've had a chance to get a preview of the house, at least as recent as Google Photos can go back. And now we'll take a look at some of the important numbers here. We have the acreage. the tax sale years, of course, this year, and different identifiers for the property, followed by the valuations, and the amount due is important because that's in a tax lien auction, that's going to be your opening bid. We have the address and the fact that it's occupied. And moving down the screen, you'll see this purchase options box that we showed you a moment ago on Prince George's. This one's for St. Mary's. And this particular auction, it takes you through the date, the place, the time, and how to get to register for the tax sale and even view that auction list if you want to go just take a look at the source itself and see the properties available for auction there. And every auction you see on our site, we have that same steps to follow that will help you out. So let's take a look and switch gears. We've talked about over-the-counter liens. We've talked about a current auction that's running. So now let's go take a look specifically at Baltimore City, which is, again, that county, the smaller county. Let me turn the map on. That holds the city of Baltimore. Now you will notice we've already seen properties in green on the website, and we've seen yellow ones that were part of the auction. But here we see a contrast of green and blue. That's because the green properties are tax liens, and the blue properties typically on Parcel Fair indicate like a tax deed. In this case, these are the Buy Baltimore properties. There's not really the notion of a tax deed in Maryland, but this works well because in contrast, you're trying to buy the property. So it helps you see that the blue and the green, the distinction there. So using this view on the map, we can actually see rooftops and building structures, or the little rectangles inside of each lot. So that's kind of a nice view. We'll switch back over to satellite, and now we can actually see rooftops and vacant lots a different way. And you can just kind of drive down the streets like this and take a look at different property outlines. So let's switch over now, and I want to show you the opportunity zones. I just clicked on markers and overlays here, and you'll notice this draw opportunity zones link. When I click that, it will put this yellow overlay over the city and show you which properties are inside of opportunity zones. And these are basically zones designated for economic growth and investment. And when you see that, you know that you can look literally across the street, and there are properties that are out of the opportunity zone across from properties that are in the opportunity zone. And so you visually can tell which properties you should chase if you're looking for those tax benefits and the benefits of putting in an opportunity zone. And so if you look at it this way, it helps you filter visually between the properties and not have to guess what you're looking at. So now that we've looked at opportunity zones, I'm going to turn that off just so we can see the map again. So again, let's talk about the blue and green properties. The green ones are over-the-counter liens, and let's take a look at this one. So I've selected this property just to look through, and it's one of these boarded up brick buildings here. There's a tax lien available for 2022, and it is occupied. So we're in a different county now, so the steps to purchase are entirely different. And in this case, it's a very manual process. You're looking at the Baltimore City Bureau of Revenue Collections. That's the organization you're going to be buying from. And you have to call them on the phone, select option 5 for tax sale, speak with the representative, and tell them the property you're interested in. And they will give you a quote over the phone along with how to purchase that property. So we know it's a manual process. We love when we can do these things online, apply online, buy online. But in this case, we've done a lot of that legwork for you to figure out, in a manual process, what are those steps? And so you can just follow this and buy properties direct that way. So the next thing I'll mention here, we do have local county links that will take you straight to the GIS map, or like in this case, the property card. That's helpful in your research if you want to see just detailed information that we don't necessarily show you on Parcel Fair, but going to the county source and digging in deeper, which we always recommend. Okay, so that shows you an example of a tax lien property in Baltimore City. I want to switch gears and show you a Buy Baltimore property. And remember what we talked about, this is you're buying from the mayor and the city council. They're the ones that are actually deciding for this organization who can buy the properties and how much. And it's open bid, so you can name the bid that way. I'm going to show you the panorama view. I usually show you houses to buy, but this is like a nice vacant lot, just beautiful area. And you can see up and down the streets. It's actually, this lot seems like it would have some value to it. It's kind of strange that it's delinquent and available. And there's the satellite view, of course, you can see. But let's take a look at, there's a different purchase option here than the over-the-counter lien, because we're talking about buying the property from buybaltimore.org. Now this blue button is different than what we saw earlier because there are different steps. So in this case, you will continue to buy that application by clicking the link below. And what's cool about it is there's no phone number. This is a little more automated. When you click that link, we are taken to the Buy Baltimore website, to their map, and actually to this property. So if we scroll down, here's the important part, is on the right side, you see there are 2 programs here, but only one that you can apply for. So if you click, you can either click the apply button and get straight to the application, or you could do a little due diligence here. This will take you to the same page we showed you a moment ago at the Maryland assessor page. You could also submit an inquiry. I think that's if you don't want to apply yet. It seems like you would submit an inquiry that way. So this one's going to be a little easier to, it doesn't require you to pick up the phone at least, but you will have to fill out an application form. So that's how you would buy through that program. And just for variety's sake, let's show you one more Buy Baltimore opportunity. This one's actually does have a structure. It's this boarded up building. And looking through here, I mean, it's kind of the same story. You would purchase by clicking this button, but our report should give you some information here that's helpful for you to decide if you want to pursue this property or not. And there's a lot of other features in Parcel Fair you can do, like adding a favorite here and putting your favorites list. We help you organize by adding it to your list here. If you want to create a new list, you can do that. You can track notes on the property. You can even put attachments on it if you want to put photos on this. And if you get better photos than Google Street View, then by all means, you can track them yourself in Parcel Fair. So that takes us through, I guess we've covered 4 different ways to buy. Now we covered, one was the over-the-counter liens in Prince George's, and one was the active county auction here in St. Mary's. And then 2 ways to buy in Baltimore City, one would being the over-the-counter liens, and the other one being the Buy Baltimore program. I guess so we're trying to cover everything we've learned so far. It's been quite a journey. And when we talk about Baltimore City, especially having that manual process over the phone to follow these steps, I should point out that we've actually had to call Baltimore City quite a few times to get questions answered and even find out how to get the list of available over-the-counter liens. What happens is, if you want a digital copy of this list in any form, it's not online, and they actually won't send you one. So you have to pay to get a paper copy sent to you, or pick it up in person. But either way, you're buying a paper copy of thousands of tax liens. And once you get that paper copy, you have to, I guess, go through it with a highlighter and figure out the properties you want to call the county about, and then call the county and ask them questions. But what we did was we actually took that paper copy, hundreds of pages, scanned it and read it into our system and essentially processed it and built out these reports for you, so you don't have to go through that same process we did. It's great that you can kind of leverage what we've already done and view it on this map, because with 4,000 parcels in those 2 different systems, isn't it great to just say, hey, you know what? I just want to see buildings and improvements, and I want to see anything bigger than $10,000 valuation. I could even filter by acreage or owner location, but let's just filter this down from 4,000 properties down to 800 that I care about. And I can just keep going with that much faster than a paper and highlighter method where I'm having to look up each property by hand. So that alone should have saved you enough time to really justify using this tool. So we hope you'll give Parcel Fair a try if you haven't already. If you're already a Parcel Fair user, then welcome to Maryland. It's on the site, active and live, ready for you to try it out. And as we're on our journey learning more about Maryland in the coming months and years, We'd love to hear from you. If you have expertise here, let's chat. If you are learning like we are, let's compare notes. So I look forward to the dialogue. Love to chat, and have a great day.